Good morning, and thank you for having us. I'm Dennis Freemeyer. I'm VP of Technology at Clearpath Alerts. I'm joined today with Don Rahicki, our Head of Marketing, and Mike Johnson, our CEO. And Mike is going to give you a little bit of background on himself and our company, and then we'll do a little demo for you guys. So thanks for joining us.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are, as we have people from all over the world on this webinar. Well, thank you again to AAIE, Yolanda, and Derek for inviting us into this partnership for the upcoming conference. We've been a longtime supporter of AAIE, and we're happy to help all of you, the AAIE constituents, as hopefully make your schools safer. But by way of a little bit of a background on myself and the company, I retired from the U.S. government in 2010, where I spent a good portion of my career with the U.S. State Department and spent quite a bit of time overseas as an RSO. And when I was overseas, I obviously worked with a lot of corporations and institutions, and particularly K-12 schools, international schools, as for one of the reasons, obviously that was part of my job, but another, my wife is a longtime international school educator who's been a longtime trainer and consultant in the international school community. And so after I retired, I was contacted by the Principals Training Center to teach a first ever course on safety, security, and emergency preparedness for international schools. And so in 2011, I taught my first course for the PTC, and had about 15 international school leaders in Miami when I taught the course. And that's when we sort of realized that those of you out in the international school community didn't really have a lot of resources when it comes to guidance for safety, security, emergency preparedness. So that's when we launched into an endeavor to build a software platform to support the international school community. And it was built from scratch specifically to support the pre-K-12 international schools. So fast forward to about a year and a half ago, and we've probably met some of you at the various conferences that we've attended around the world. We're supporting about 40 international schools to date. But about a year and a half ago, we decided to expand the capability of our platform. And we decided to merge with a local technology company here from Fort Lauderdale to expand and kind of take our platform from just a software cloud-based service into a full platform, which is where we are today with Totality. Totality, and for those of you that will be attending the conference, Totality will be displayed there at the AAIE conference. Totality essentially is 7 components that to help schools remain safe, and we'll go through it. But you can see here on the slide, it's built for the 360-degree needs of today's challenges that you face in your schools. And one of the common things that we see, and as part of our working with international schools over the last 6 or 7 years, we've spent a lot of time visiting the various campuses, and we've really been all over the world. And some of the common things that we see in the international school community, from a threat standpoint, threats and hazards, typically most of you fight, some of the issues you face are certainly crime. Most schools now, either be it the residences, the bus routes, or the schools themselves, can or have to deal with crime. And the other is just certainly Mother Nature, weather events, be it from hurricanes to earthquakes to tsunamis. So it's kind of a common threat picture for most schools around the world. And then we also, from a common vulnerability standpoint, and a vulnerability would be something that the schools can do something about. You can't stop threats and hazards, but you can certainly do something about vulnerabilities. So some of the common themes that we see when we visit schools are, for instance, access controls or lack thereof, or lack of enforcement. And that would be controlling people coming onto your campus. Most schools either have a real light policy, or they don't have a policy whatsoever, or they just don't have the physical structure or or tools to control access. Another is, we recommend that all pre-K, K-12 schools have a closed campus. And just because of the nature of the threats that you face and the kids that you're trying to protect, we see that a lot of schools do not pay close attention to their perimeter. And so we'll typically find either open fences or holes in fences or scalable walls, gates. And that's something that schools can with good preventive maintenance, can limit the vulnerabilities from people getting into their compound. Another we see very common is there's security forces that are in place at most schools. Typically are very low paid, low skilled, and are not properly trained. Therefore are not really supporting the needs of the safety and security needs of the school. And then the last two, which is very common, most schools do not have adequate emergency preparedness planning or training. And certainly most of them don't have any kind of emergency communication capabilities, which is partly what led us to build this platform that we will demonstrate for you called Totality.
Right.
So Dennis just logged in. So this is a live account. This is one of our sample accounts. And so Totality is based on the original platform that we started building in 2011, which is called the EPM dashboard, Emergency Planning and Management Dashboard. And it's a cloud-hosted software that can be logged in from any device that has access to the internet. And so the way we built it was for a school. It's a guided tool to help you keep your school safe. And if you look on the left-hand side, it starts out with a self-assessment, and it's a series of questions that the schools can go through and answer about various threats or hazards they may face. And we did this specifically because the unique nature of international schools, nobody has the same types of threat environment. So this is a way for you to self-identify what your threats and hazards are. And then based on those threats and hazards, you can practice and drill the appropriate response should an event like that occur. And then the other part of the self-assessment is vulnerabilities. And again, as I mentioned, these are things that you can do something about. And so you and your team can go through and do a self-assessment of where you're potentially vulnerable. And after you do all these questions, answer these questions, you come into a matrix where it's scored. Obviously, 1 and 2 would be, in the case of vulnerabilities, it's not something you need to worry about from a triage standpoint. And obviously, you want to address those areas that are in red or yellow as your key priority. And then from a threat standpoint, the same thing. What are the threats you most likely face in the various categories? And so this is all based on your own self-assessment. And it helps you triage and plan from a resource standpoint, how you're going to mitigate your risks that you face. So once you've kind of done your self-assessment, then we get into the core of the platform, which is the response planning portion. The first part is we recommend that all schools have some type of crisis management team. You can call it anything you want. All these sections are editable. The areas in red are what we recommend as a minimum for a small school. And so you could call it your emergency response team, crisis team, whatever you want to call it. And each position has a definition, again, where you can go in and you can edit it. And we recommend that every position have a primary and an alternate. Think about this. Say the head of school is the crisis team leader, or he or she happens to be out on a hiring fair. And then that's when your crisis happens. You want to make sure that someone has been appointed and trained to be the backup in the event of the absence of your crisis team leader. So after you identify your crisis team, you go and you set your rally points. We call them rally points. Some schools call them assembly areas. It's the same thing. And this is where you go in and where would you evacuate your staff and your students to in the event of some type of emergency situation. So the platform asks you to provide a photo and also asks you for your geo coordinates. which will come into play when you see the mobile app that supports Totality. Once you identified your primary, alternate, and any other needed rally points, you get into the meat of the response protocols. So response protocol is how you're going to respond to a typical incident or hazard that your school may be faced with. In the case of K-12 institutions, educational institutions, there's really only about 6 things that you can do, no matter what the threat is. You can evacuate, you can reverse evacuate, you can lock down, you can remain in place, duck and cover, or off-campus evacuation. If a school does these 6 things, trains their stakeholders in these 6 things very, very well, then they pretty much can safely deal with any threat or incident that they may be faced, because that's really all you can do. And oftentimes, obviously, these protocols are going to be together. So in the case of a lockdown, you may have to put your school into a lockdown if some kind of threat situation, and then from there, you're probably eventually going to have to evacuate. So best thing to do is to learn and drill these 6 things as well as you can, and that's going to help mitigate your risks and keep your students safe. So if you sign up to the platform, we've kind of preloaded some language for these 6 protocols, but you can add a protocol, any protocol you want. You can call them what you want. The system's dynamic, so any protocol you identify, you would define it, set the procedure, and if you choose, if it has a rally point, you could select the rally point. In the case of the color code at the bottom, you'll see it says show in quick action guide. This is how you determine if it's going to go onto your app, or if you want to print a copy, that's how you determine what goes into your quick action guide. And this is the printable version. You print it right under a printer, bind it, and you give this to your teachers. I'm still an old school guy, so I like to have printed, even though we're mostly digital in these days. So you've gone through, you've established the protocols. You're allowed for up to 10 to be actually in the guide or the app, but you can have as many protocols as you feel like you need. It's just that you're limited at any given time to 10 for printing in the guide or in your app. Then we go into quite a bit more of it just shows the robust nature of the platform: emergency contacts, emergency equipment, resources. Everything's on the cloud. Everything's in your account. You log in. It's stored there. There's no paper. Then there's part of it that where you identify and your drills. You schedule and you schedule drills in advance, and then the system's going to remind you, hey, you need to do an evacuation drill this quarter, and it'll remind you to do that. And then once you do the drill, then you want to go in and log the drill, and it'll essentially you want to identify what you did well and what you need to work on for improvement to make yourself safe and secure. And there you can see where you have the ability to do that. Incidents, you can track incidents. Very important, particularly in the international schools with the high turnover of heads. We want to encourage schools to get out of the practice of keeping paper incidents. This eliminates that problem. If you've had a suspicious teacher or suspicious person on campus, you log it, you identify the information, and then that's kept in the cloud for the next head to come in, and he or she will know exactly sort of what has happened in the past, and it eliminates the issue of paper getting lost and everything stored in one place. The same can be said for audits and inspections, be it fire extinguishers, fire sprinklers. You have to have those inspected or audited. You store everything here, and when accreditation or someone comes to do an inspection, you literally pull up your account, print it off, and you hand it to them, and that's your documentation that you've taken care of all the issues you need to take care of for that for the year. And then the last sort of thing I'll mention here is the attachment section, where you can store videos or photos of your campus. Could be important in the event of some kind of incident requiring first responders to respond to your school. They could actually log into your cloud account and have videos of your hallways or your doors or your windows. So it's a pretty robust. It's a cloud, so it's an unlimited storage. You could put policies and procedures in there. Anything you potentially need that has to do with your safety program can be stored here in your cloud account.
I just want to stop you for 1 second. Security Manager 2 is having an issue hearing the webinar, and I was just wondering if anyone else was having that issue. I see some folks chimed in and said they could hear it fine, but
okay. So that's kind of the first phase of the platform, the emergency planning management portion. Now I'll turn it over to Dennis, and he'll show you how you take the EPM platform and add the other parts of the Totality app, which is the alerting and communication side of the situational awareness to help keep your campuses safe.
Good morning. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you've got the home page of the app. Everything is okay at the moment. We're all clear. Basically what the app does is it takes all of this wonderful preparedness that you've got on the left side of the screen in the EPM and turns it into a real-time communications tool. So first things first, I'm sure you're all looking at the big red button at the top of the screen, Duress. This gives everyone in your campus, all of your faculty and staff members, the ability to call for help. They press and hold this button, and it will send out an alert to your crisis management team, says, you know, so-and-so is under duress, requires immediate attention. When you hit OK, it's going to show you where they are on the map, geolocated so that you know where on campus they are that they need that assistance. A similar feature to that everybody will have in their hands is the capture function, which is RC something or say something. Basically, it gives everybody the power to take a photo or a video of anything that's out of place, somebody who doesn't belong, a bag on the ground, a leaky pipe, whatever it might be that's a safety or security issue. Report it to the folks who are in charge. So I'm going to demonstrate real quick. We've got some artwork here in the office. Very suspicious artwork. I'm going to send that in. My crisis management team on our account is now going to get that photo. It's going to tell them, who it came from. It's going to say, again, just like the duress report, it's going to say, where I am on the map so that you can make a decision based on that. Say, okay, well, I know where this person is and I know what's going on there now. There we go. Just like that. So everybody on your account will get those features. The few features are reserved for the administrative staff, your crisis management team. Those folks are the ones who have the authority to call for an evacuation or a lockdown or to make that decision in the moment. They will also have this next screen, which is protocol. So they receive a video or a photo from someone on their staff and they need to take action. They come here and they can instantly, okay, that artwork's no good. We got to evacuate right now. This instantly sends out your evacuation protocol that you predefined in the EPM, sends it to your entire staff. They get the instructions of what they need to do right now, and they get the rally point that you defined. Okay, this is where I need to go. Proceed to the marked location. I need to get to the playground. I need to take my students with me. So it gives you the real-time communication to enact the plans that you worked so hard to create to try to keep your school safe. And the last thing I want to show you is the history screen right here. What this is it's just the account history. It lets you go back and see, everything that's happened, all the events that have happened through the app. So you can see who sent it, what time they sent it, if a protocol got sent out or if there was some photo or video that got sent out here, you can go back and pull it up again. And my Wi-Fi is, there we go. There's Mike, very suspicious character, Mike Johnson. So that's the mobile app. So between these two pieces of the puzzle here, you've got, that's our 360 degrees of totality.
One thing we didn't mention, we have an enterprise version of this, which our corporate clients, they really appreciate this. And likewise, companies that own, more than 5 schools, they like the enterprise version, because what you have in enterprise, say if you own 20 schools around the world, all 20 of your schools would have their own individual emergency planning management account with their own totality app. But from a headquarters view, the owner of all those 20 schools would have the ability to, at any given time, monitor what's happening in their schools around the world at any given time. They can see every time an incident report is filed, whenever a drill is completed, what's the state of preparedness for that particular location. So that's what makes this this platform unique compared to others, in the safety world, is that it's a localized. Every local school has their own platform, but it's all structured the same. So you're all talking on the same sort of the same sheet of music, if you will. One of the big things about that Dennis in the demonstration that's important that we recognize with schools and our other clients is the ability to have situational awareness, and that's why the app is so important. If you think about typically what happens in a threat that the school faces, someone may see something, but maybe they don't capture it, or they don't notify the head of the crisis team. Having this totality platform in the hands of all your staff and your teachers allows you the ability to have this instant situational awareness. So say you have a gardener that's or a maintenance person that's on the grounds, and they see something suspicious, a person that's up to no good or some kind of suspicious activity, they snap a photo or a video, and it's instantly uploaded to the head of the school and the other members of the crisis team. So that allows you that instant situational awareness that you could call for a lockdown, call for an evacuation, whatever the case may be. And that's what's make this platform so unique is giving the heads of the schools the ability to keep your school safer is the key ingredient with this the seven components of totality. So you see here, this is just some of our we've worked with some of the largest schools in the world. And we've worked with all the major associations. We've done training. We've done events for them. So I think most of you probably know us formerly as Clearpath EPM or Clearpath Global. Now with the technology, we're Clearpath Alerts. So next slide. So circling back around, as Derek said in the beginning, we are the official safety app of the AAIE conference in New York. And so what we're going to be doing is the demonstration you just saw, everybody that chooses to download the app for New York will be tied into the security safety app for the conference. And we'll be transmitting any safety or security information that we become aware of will be transmitted via totality. It could be a custom message. Likewise, it's the see something, say something. Say you're in front of the Marriott Marquis, you see something suspicious, you could instantly take a quick photo, upload it to the crisis team, and then we'll take appropriate action working with the local authorities. And you'll see signage throughout the AAIE conference, again, reminding you of see something, report something, which you would do via the Totality app. And most importantly, for those that download and log into the Totality app for AAIE, we're going to have a little raffle because everybody likes raffles. We're going to give away 2 Totality one-year accounts for 2 schools or businesses, one on a Tuesday, one on Wednesday, for some lucky winner who drawn from the pool of candidates who download. And so you as your school could start using Totality to keep your stakeholders safe.
And with that brings us to Q&A. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to chat them over to Dawn, and we'll do our best to answer them.
I do not have any questions just yet. What is a reverse evacuation?
A reverse evacuation would be in the case, say you're having a field day, and you've got your 500 kids on the playground or on the soccer field doing field day, and you become aware of some type of threat. Maybe it's a political demonstration marching down the street towards your campus, and so you need to evacuate your kids and your teachers back into the safety of the building, and so that's what would be considered a reverse evacuation.
Thanks. I do not have any additional questions from the team, from the group.
Okay.
What are the menu of changes to clients? I'm sorry, what are the menu of charges to clients?
Oh, what are the charges? There's basically two pricing models. A school could just buy the EPM, which is just the software, the cloud hosted platform, the dashboard, and that's priced at $480 a year. Comes out to $40 a month. If you want to buy the totality package, which includes the app version, if you buy totality, it includes the EPM dashboard without charge. It's part of the totality fee, and that fee has to have a minimum of 10 users, and it's $3 a month. So in the case, say you have a school with 20 staff members that you want to have on totality, then it would be $60 a month or $720 a year for the entire totality platform.
If no other, I can, if there are no other questions, we just want to take one final question from the group. For consulate schools, do local consulates typically provide assistance?
I'm assuming you're talking about probably U.S. State Department. U.S. State Department provides some guidance, but it's typically limited and usually not to the depth that we support. For the U.S. Embassy or U.S. government affiliated schools, there have been some discussions that you could possibly get reimbursed through your consular embassy for this platform, but that's something you'd have to talk to your local folks about. Again, we'll be at AAIE, and our table will be situated right next to the registration. So if you have questions, please stop by and meet Dennis or Don or myself or our colleague Bruce. Be happy to talk to you in more depth and show you a one-on-one demo.
Thanks everybody for joining us today. I'm going to throw it back to Derek.
Great. Thank you, Dennis and Mike, for your explanations, and Dawn for helping get the questions in order. So we really appreciate it. There is a recording of this that you'll get emailed to you, or you'll get the link emailed to you in the next day or so. So really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you all in New York, and actually looking forward to testing this app as well. So see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.